Okay, let's talk about the Bahamas. I want you to picture it in your head. I'm guessing you're seeing white sand beaches, maybe some crystal clear turquoise water. Yep, thought so. But what if I told you that paradise, well, it has a wild past? We're talking pirates, revolutionaries, and a history that totally flipped its identity on its head. So today, we're going to go way beyond that perfect postcard image and get into the real story of the Bahamas.
So, what'd you come up with? Is it a giant cruise ship pulling into port? Maybe a flamingo standing on one leg? Or just that perfect sun-drenched beach you see on Instagram? For most of us, that image is pretty much the same, and there's a really good reason for it. Yeah, I'm gonna bet it's something just like this. The kind of picture that makes you want to drop everything and book a flight, like right now. And hey, that's the thing. This picture isn't fake. This paradise is absolutely real, but it's just not the whole story. See, like any postcard, that pretty picture only shows you one side. But if you could flip it over, you'd find a story. A story written by wave after wave of people arriving on its shores. A story powered by a really surprising economic engine. And a story colored by a culture that's as vibrant as any sunset you'll ever see. So to really get what the Bahamas is all about, we've got to read that other side. All right, first up, a history of arrivals. This is all about how the nation was forged by waves of newcomers. Because the story of the Bahamas isn't about some sleepy, unchanging paradise. Nope. It's a story of constant motion, of ships always appearing on the horizon. For centuries, these islands have been a destination, and seriously, every single group that landed here left its mark, right down to the nation's DNA. So let's walk through this, because it's a pretty wild ride. It all starts way back, between 500 and 800 AD, with the Lucayan people. They were the original inhabitants. Then, 1492 happens, and a name we all know, Christopher Columbus, makes landfall. His arrival, sadly, was the beginning of the end for the Lucayans. And for more than 100 years, the islands were pretty much empty. Then, in 1649, a new chapter kicks off with English Puritans looking for a place to practice their faith. But that peace, it didn't last long, because by the 1700s, we're in the golden age of piracy. Think Blackbeard. The Bahamas becomes this notorious pirates' republic. Then comes a massive turning point in 1783. The American Revolution ends, and over 7,000 American loyalists and their slaves are resettled here. This just fundamentally changes everything. And that long, winding path leads all the way to 1973, when the Bahamas finally steps onto the world stage as a fully independent nation. And that history had a huge visible impact. I mean, look at this. In 1722, the islands were about 74% European. But you fast forward to today, it's a 90% Black majority. That's the legacy of the Loyalists and the enslaved people they brought with them. It's an incredible transformation, and it is the absolute foundation of the modern Bahamas. So the question is, what kind of economy do you build to support this brand new nation? Next up, the Pillars of Paradise, where we're looking at the engine behind all that beautiful scenery. Because every nation needs an engine to run, right? And for the Bahamas, that engine is, well, it's pretty unique and incredibly powerful. It's built on two main pillars that have really come to define its place in the world. And here they are. The twin pillars are tourism and offshore finance. And as you can see, tourism isn't just a pillar, it's the whole dang foundation. We're talking a staggering 70% of the country's GDP. Then you've got offshore finance, which is another big piece of the pie at 15%. Together, they create this economic reality that's, really prosperous, but also kind of precarious. So that term, offshore finance, usually brings up another more loaded phrase, right? Tax haven. But what does that actually mean in the Bahamas? Well, it's pretty simple. It's all about creating a very competitive tax situation. I mean, just imagine this. A country with no income tax, no corporate tax, no tax on capital gains, and no wealth tax. That's the deal here. Okay, to really get a sense of just how massive the tourism industry is, just look at this number. 11.22 million. That's the record number of tourists who visited in 2024 alone. Let me put that into perspective for you. This is like the entire population of New York City and Los Angeles, all visiting a country with fewer people than Omaha, Nebraska. That mind-blowing ratio, that is the fuel for the Bahamian economy. And what does all that economic activity lead to? Well, a level of wealth that really sets the Bahamas apart. We're talking a GDP per capita of over $46,000.
To put that in context, the average for the region is around 20,000. So yeah, it's more than double the average, making it one of the wealthiest nations in the Americas. But of course, a country is so much more than its economy. It's really about the people, the culture they've built, and the identity they all share. So let's move on to forging a Bahamian identity. We're talking people, culture, and pride. Let's get beyond the spreadsheets and into the real heart of what makes the Bahamas so unique, its people. This is where that whole complicated history of arrivals, of struggle, of independence has just blossomed into this incredibly vibrant and resilient culture. And this number right here, 90.6%, it's a direct echo of that history we were just talking about. That's the percentage of the population that identifies as Black, mostly descended from the West Africans who were brought to the islands. Today, that legacy isn't just a piece of history. It is the absolute foundation of modern Bahamian identity. It's an incredible story of survival, of resilience, and of creating a whole new culture. And, that spirit of resilience and hope is just so perfectly captured in their national motto: forward, upward, onward, together. It's so much more than just a catchy phrase. It's a promise. It's a reflection of a nation that has always had to look to the future and lean on its collective strength to get there. And you can totally see this identity come to life in their traditions. First, you've got Junkanoo. Just imagine this massive traditional Afro-Bahamian street parade on Boxing Day and New Year's. The energy is just explosive with music, dancing, incredible art. Then you have the regattas. These are huge social events out in the Family Islands where they race these beautiful old-fashioned workboats. And finally, there's the storytelling. There's this super rich tradition of folklore and legends with amazing creatures like the Luska and the Chickcharney. Okay, so let's look ahead. Onward, upward, together, navigating the future. Because a nation with this much history and culture doesn't just stand still, right? It's always looking to the future. But for the Bahamas, that future, it holds a whole new set of challenges. And these challenges are really going to test that spirit of forward, upward, onward, together. So here's the thing. The very geography that makes the Bahamas a paradise also makes it incredibly vulnerable. First, climate change. This is an existential threat. A staggering 80% of the country's land is less than 10 meters above sea level. Then there's the extreme weather that comes with that. We all saw the devastation from storms like Hurricane Dorian in 2019. It caused over $7 billion in damage. And finally, economic resilience. That powerful engine we talked about? Well, being so heavily dependent on tourism and global finance, that's a big risk in an unstable world. And all this leaves us with a really big question. In the face of all these challenges, how will the Bahamas move forward, upward, and onward together? You have this nation that was literally forged by centuries of change, a nation that built its identity on resilience and unity, and now it's facing its greatest tests yet. In a world with rising seas and a shaky global economy, can the Bahamas prove, once again, that its greatest strength is its ability to do just that, to move forward, upward, and onward together? The answer to that question is going to define the future of this island nation. And maybe, just maybe, it'll hold a lesson for the rest of us too.